Race number 3 in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series brings us to the Lone Star State for the first road course of the season. In this revised course, new to the Cup Series stars, will the veteran regulars like Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson continue their momentum into 2025? Or could the ringers of Shane Van Gisbergen and rookie sensation Connor Zilisch steal the show? Let's get weird in Austin, Texas, as MDK RaceDay welcomes you to the Circuit of the Americas for the EchoPark Automotive Grand Prix. Not only does it get weird in Austin, Texas, also it gets pretty good in terms of the weather. Temperature going to be in the high 70s with a 4% chance of rain, but in typical Texas fashion, lots of wind south-southeast through the racetrack at 14 miles per hour. Wind gusts can get up to as high as 37 miles per hour. Green flag is scheduled for 3:49 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome back, everyone, to the episode of MDK RaceDay. My name is Jet. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And like I said, welcome to the first episode of 2025, where we tackle on a road course for the NASCAR Cup Series stars. Now, after our 2-week run over drafting trust, I should say, at Daytona and Talladega, here's a look at what the point standings look like as of today entering COTA. Ryan Blaney is still the points leader, now 12 points ahead of William Byron. Tyler Reddick gains a spot up to third, minus 15. Allison Cindric, after his crash, drops down to fourth. Bubba Wallace picked up 16 spots after a great points day involving and finishing in the top 10, up 16 spots, now in fifth. Kyle Larson also finished in third last week in Atlanta, jumps up 18 spots to sixth. John Nemechek continues his good run so far in 2025 in seventh place. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up 6 spots in eighth. Bowman falls 4 spots in ninth, and Chase Elliott still holds on to the top 10, 31 points behind Ryan Blaney. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR and proud sponsor of the Busch Light Polo Award, given to the fastest driver at each NASCAR Cup Series event. Busch Light congratulates Tyler Reddick for his 10th career Cup Series pole, his first since last October at Homestead Miami Speedway, and his second career pole here at Circuit of the Americas, completing it with a time of 98.076 seconds. Since 2020, Busch Beer has invested more than $70 million in being a premier sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series. So here's a look at the starting lineup for the 2025 EchoPark Automotive Grand Prix at COTA. For the first time ever in its history, 2311 lock out the front row. Tyler Reddick, no surprise to see there, but a surprise to see his teammate Bubba Wallace. This is the highest he's ever started in a road course race, in second. Awesome job for 2311 Racing. Row 2 is no surprise to see Chase Elliott, one of the best road course ringers today, in third. But look to his outside, Carson Hocevar. He made some noise and angered a lot of people last Sunday at Atlanta. He really does not care, and he backed it up with a top 5 qualifying position. Excellent run for him. And Daniel Suarez from Trackhouse, another great run for the 99 Chevrolet. He has won here on a road course back at Sonoma in 2022. And to his outside, rookie Shane Van Gisbergen, one of the favorites to win here at COTA today. Won at Chicago 2 years ago, starting alongside in 6. Row 4 is Kyle Larson, who had won multiple road course races last year alongside Kyle Busch, taking that RCR Chevrolet to an 8th place starting position. He has never won here at COTA, and ran at the top 10 is Ross Chastain, the site of his very first Cup win back in 2022, and Todd Gillen of the 34 car, another great run for him and that team. Number 11 qualifies in 11th place. Denny Hamlin alongside Xfinity road course winner at COTA, AJ Allmendinger, in the 16 ride. Row 7 has Ty Gibbs in the 54, and rookie sensation Red Bull returning back to NASCAR for the first time since 2011, and behind the wheel is 18-year-old Connor Zilisch. Row 8 has William Byron, the defending winner here at COTA. Alongside him is Michael McDowell. Noah Gragson and Chase Briscoe make up row 9, and right out the top 20 is Christopher Bell, who finished second after leading all those laps last year, alongside Zane Smith. Row 11 is Alex Bowman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Joe Logano and Chris Buescher make up row 12. Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski row 13. Austin Dillon and Ryan Preece and Justin Haley and Cole Custer make up the top 30. In the final 4 positions, Riley Herbst. Now, Riley Herbst was actually going to qualify around the top 5. Unfortunately, his time was disallowed due to cutting the course, so he was relegated back to 31st place. Legacy Motor Club, after the first 2 weeks of riding on a high, they now back to reality. 32nd and 33rd for their 2 drivers. Ty Dillon 34th. How about that? Row 18, Josh Berry and Austin Cindric. Shocking to see them this low in the starting grid, and ran out the 37th and final spot is Cody Ware in the 51-4. Here's a look at the odds to win the EchoPark Automotive Grand Prix. Tyler Reddick sitting at the best of odds, the pole sitter. Shane Van Gisbergen, no surprise to see him at plus 400. Kyle Larson at plus 650. Chase Elliott, the 2021 winner, at plus 750. Then a pair of 1200s between Chastain and Bell. Connor Zilisch, great odds for him at plus 1400 alongside William Byron. Bubba Wallace, probably the first time you may ever see him on the first page when talking about road course odds at plus 1800, and Daniel Suarez at 2000. Hocevar and Allmendinger at 2200, Busch and Bowman at 2500, Gibbs at 2800, and then Buescher and Cindric at 4000, McDowell and Briscoe at 5000, and Joey Logano at plus 7,000 odds to win. Okay, so what are the storylines heading into COTA? Well, let's first talk about the changes to the course. Obviously, that is the biggest one. Coming off into the S's, usually the drivers would sweep a right-hander and go up into that really sharp hairpinner before that long straightaway. That has now been cut. Immediately after the S's in turn 6, you immediately make a hard left-hander, kind of like a little short shoe like at Indianapolis, and then you make another hard left-hander to go on to a much shorter straightaway into the stadium section and to finish out the course. If we saw in practice, this could actually be a really challenging corner. We saw a lot of drivers just send it coming off of the corner of that little short shoe, nearly lost it in the grass. You really have to throw your car out there and be able to handle on those very tight corners. And that will be an action spot for a lot of wrecks. Drivers getting into each other, getting sideways, just losing it in general. That'll be a very hot spot for a lot of action to happen at that part of the racetrack. Will it be good for racing? I'm open to it. I feel like it improved the racing at COTA for the Xfinity Series yesterday, so I'm open to it. At first, I was skeptical, but I like what I saw in practice. Another change will be the barriers. I don't know if you remember this, but at first, COTA opened the weekend by having barriers placed around the S's as a way to kind of force drivers to not go off track. But I guess NASCAR, they remember what happened back in 2018 at the Charlotte Roval with Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace absolutely destroying their cars. So they decided to remove them and will revert back to the original officiating that they've done in the past, where if both tires are off of the curbing, off track, penalty, and I believe is still you're going to have to do a drive-through for that. The drivers were not a fan of that, especially Daniel Suarez. He commented about saying basically how, we want to be the ones to decide. Like, if you want to do that, fine, but you're going to pay for it. And I do like that. I do feel like the more we can get NASCAR officiating out of the way and have it be up to the driver's hands, I feel like the better racing it will be, because knowing NASCAR's officiating, don't think it's a good idea to rely on them the entire time for every little thing that happens, because they will mess up. Or at the very least, there are going to be calls where it's like, was it the right call? Was it not the right call? But it should be interesting to see how they handle the officiating here today. Let's talk about Connor Zilisch. What are the expectations for this 18-year-old sensation making his very first Cup Series start? Well, he's starting 14th, plus 1,400 odds, won the Xfinity race yesterday in incredible fashion. Do I think he's going to win? I don't think he's going to win. He was not bad in practice, but I do think there is a very strong chance we could see him finish in the top 5 today. But you do have to look at some of the other drivers. Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson. These are drivers, especially Shane Van Gisbergen, but those drivers that I just mentioned, they will put up a very strong fight against Connor Zilisch. He is 18. He's an incredible road course racer and a generational talent. But he's still a rookie making his first Cup start. And this is not a situation like with Shane Van Gisbergen, where Shane Van Gisbergen has driven supercars, and supercars, there is a bit of a correlation between that and NASCAR. And they were competing on a street course for the first time, something that Shane Van Gisbergen has a ton of experience at. So yeah, they're both track house drivers. They're both really good on road courses, both having similar paths. Like, they both, raced road racing when they were younger, but the circumstances are still very different. So while I don't think with Connor Zilisch you're going to see a win, you're going to see him put up a top 5 finish at least. I think there is a very strong possibility of that happening, especially with what can happen late in the race. We know how wild restarts can get here at COTA. There is a very strong chance we could see him at least in the top 5 by the end of this race. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting is that I mentioned a lot of the drivers at the beginning were Chevy drivers. SVG, Kyle Larson, Connor Zilisch, Ross Chastain. But the Toyotas, I'm a bit skeptical on the Toyotas, because the Toyotas, they were not good at all in practice. I mean, majority of the Toyota drivers were scattered from the mid to lower teens. But then you had Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, both Toyota drivers starting first and second, but also meanwhile, the next Toyota driver is outside the top 10, outside of the front row. So it is interesting to see what this type of speed Toyota will have. It should be noted that out of all the COTA races we've had so far, all but one time, only one time has the winner of the race not start inside the top 10. One of the drivers that did win the race was Tyler Reddick, winning in 2023, and I believe he qualified second in that race. So history tells us that if you want to win at COTA, you got to start up front. You got to be a front runner. There was one driver of the Chevy camp that I have not mentioned, and that is Chase Elliott. If we were to talk about Chase Elliott pre-next gen era, it's almost a lock in. Yeah, you have to include Chase Elliott for a win on a road course, but since next gen, things haven't been so consistent. If you take a look at his stats pre-next gen and post-next gen, there is a massive change in quality. Of the 19 races in the Gen 6 era for Chase Elliott, he has won 7 of them. Nearly half of the races he won in the starts he competed in the Gen 6 era. 11 top 5s, 13 top 10s, a 7.9 average finish at 342 laps. But since the next gen in 2022, he has a big old goose egg in the win column. He does have a second place finish back at the Charlotte, or I should say at the Indy road course 2 years ago, but still no win yet for Chase Elliott. 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s to 10.63 average finish and 147 laps led, about half compared to the laps led he led in the Gen 6 era. Now, in terms of Chase Elliott at COTA, he has won here back in 2024, albeit in a rain shortened race, finished 4th in 2022 and 16th in 2024. He only led 5 laps. That's all he's led, and they were all in that 2021 event, and he has an average finish of 7th place. So if we talk about Chase Elliott in the next gen era, he's not bad by any means, but he's not that dominant driver that we expected to see him in the Gen 6 era. He's good, but he's no longer that guy to be. It's more the guys like I mentioned earlier, like Tyler Reddick, like Kyle Larson, like Shane Van Gisbergen. Those are the drivers now. William Byron, who won here at COTA. He's actually won at COTA and won at Watkins Glen. It's drivers like that now that we expect to see run up front now. Chase Elliott, I think he will be a contender for at least a top 10, but no longer do I see or would I put Chase Elliott in the column of these are drivers that I expect to win on these road courses. Now let's take a look at my Fantasy Live lineup. There's going to be a lot of trackouts, guys. I got Tyler Reddick starting up first. Connor Zilisch, I got to have him in, especially if it's one of a few starts. So I can use him up as much as I want to and be able to save my other drivers for later. Shane Van Gisbergen, obviously I got to have him. And Ross Chastain being a former winner here. And I also got Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson will find a way to be up towards the front. But I also have Daniel Suarez in my garage. Daniel Suarez, really good road course racer. I think he's very underrated. I don't think many people have him on their list. Won at Sonoma. His very first Cup race was on a road course at Sonoma back in 2022. He knows how to run well here. He has run well here. Just in case, I have him in my garage. So yeah, I have all Trackhouse guys, one Toyota 2311 driver and one Hendrick driver. So very interesting lineup that I got here. But the driver that I have winning this race, I got Shane Van Gisbergen. Fastest in both practice sessions, qualifying in 6th place. I shouldn't have to talk about how good he is of a road racer. I think the stats and the speed he has shown already proves it. And I just feel that if some things fall their way, Shane Van Gisbergen will be the guy to be out in front and will win at COTA. So I have Shane Van Gisbergen taking the checker flag. But who do you think is going to win? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thanks for watching.